There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonko table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonko table, the table that will make their dreams come true.
Yo, everyone. That is the voice of your Yonko host for tonight, Dr. Jace Attorney. And it's been a hot minute since we've had some One Piece greatness back on this pod. For those of you that have been sticking with us for our One Piece Chronicles segment, goodness gracious, it's been a solid 4 weeks. It's been a while. It's been a minute since our last One Piece coverage. In terms of our One Piece Chronicles, for those of you that listen to us, we've been covering the One Piece manga as well as it's been releasing these last several weeks. But in terms of recapping the magic of some of the older One Piece arcs, our last foray into this was the ending of Water 7. And that's been some time ago. But we are back into the game because we are here to talk about the glorious arc that is known as Thriller Bark, an arc that is somewhat divisive in the One Piece community for elements that are both really good in Thriller Bark and elements that people didn't really want to see again in One Piece. But we are going to deep dive everything Thriller Bark has to offer with this pod. But I am not alone in this deep dive. With me, as always, is fellow Yonko, Grandmaster Hoop. Grandmaster Hoop, do you think the docking station is going to make its way back into the final saga of One Piece?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Ew.
It better. That'd be so funny. And
Well,
if they actually take it seriously, that would be hilarious.
So what, is Jinbei gonna be like the chest piece now?
Or you put everybody on Jinbei's shoulders. Or who's bigger, Jinbei or Frankie? I don't know.
I guess
but-
part two Frankie would be bigger than
Wait a
Jinbei.
minute. I'm so sorry. Why are we talking about Thriller Bark? As the good Nino Desposado has said, nothing happens here.
Oh, nothing happened? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, why are we
Nothing
talking about
happened.
Thriller Bark?
We're here to talk about the nothing that did not happen on this arc.
Nothing
Right?
happened.
Right, nothing happened. Exactly. Well, we got to explain why nothing happened.
Sure, I guess.
But as Grandmaster Who pointed out, we are not alone in this deep dive of Thriller Bark. We have Supernovas here to join us today. And all right, let's get into it. Now, Thriller Bark, I kind of want to feel the room a little bit, because everyone has a different opinion about this arc. It's often referred to as a palate cleanser arc because, of course, it comes after the glorious Water 7 saga, Enies Lobby arc. And it comes right before the build-up to what many consider the best arc in One Piece, which is the Paramount War and everything that leads up to it, like Impel Down and Amazon Lily, all that stuff. But that's ahead of the game. Right now, we're talking about Thriller Bark. How does Thriller Bark as a whole stand with you guys? Are you guys like, oh my God, this is some of Oda's best work, hands down, in One Piece? Or is it kind of like, it was fun, it was fine, let's move on?
I think it's good. I think it has some good elements. I think it was necessary because I think there needed to be some time between, like, what's it called? Enies Lobby and Saboti, which we'll see. Because that, I don't know if anyone would have survived reading week to week, going from Enies Lobby, and then the next thing you see is Saboti. Like, I don't think anyone would have been able to function. I think this arc was very necessary, and especially because of the outcomes of this arc. This arc, there's a lot of things that happen at the end of this arc that are very important to the story.
And this is what I always hear about Thriller Bark. Regardless of your opinion on the meat of Thriller Bark, people always gravitate towards its ending. The ending of Thriller Bark it's heavy stuff. It's some good One Piece content. It's just everything you have to get through to get to that point. And again, I like Thriller Bark. I'm not going to sit here and hate on Thriller Bark saying like, oh my God, terrible arc. Oh God, I wish we skipped it. But it is one of the lesser arcs of One Piece where it's kind of like its own secluded adventure. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of like Skypiea 2.0 in a way, where it's like it's a secluded adventure that I feel like Oda was testing the waters on. What do my fans want to see? Do they want to see world moving events like Enies Lobby and Water 7, or do we still want to see some arcs where they just go on a silly adventure like Skypiea? Skypiea was a silly adventure in the sky.
Until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't, right.
Until it wasn't. And Thriller Bark, for I would say 80 to 90% of it was just a silly adventure in Halloween Town.
There's a lot of heart in Thriller Bark. I think people forget the heart that is in Thriller Bark. And I'm going to point it out as it comes up. Okay. But I think Thriller Bark is necessary as far as, you just did this whole saga, Water 7. It was a lot. It was heavy. Like, let's just take a break. And it is very similar to Skypiea. But it's like, just give us time to get to know Frankie with the crew. Give us time to, see how they're interacting. But also, it does expand the world. We meet, I guess, I don't know, foreshadow. We meet 2 Shikubai here.
Shikubai.
Yeah. No, Shichibukai.
Shichibukai.
Go ahead, sound it out.
We meet 2 warlords here.
We do.
And if anything, Thriller Bark is just the last chess piece they needed to set before the next saga.
I think so too. I think, and I have to shout out Totally Narc Mark, because his review of Thriller Bark is really good. If you have, after you're done eating here and you're still hungry for dessert, go check out Totally Not Mark's review, because he has some really good valid criticisms of it, which I'll mention like when we get to them. But he did mention something about, and the art style kind of changes a little bit in this art. It's more cartoony, more Halloweeny. There's a lot of interesting stuff. Like, he compared it to like Scooby-Doo almost a little bit, which is a lot of elements of Scooby-Doo here.
There is.
Yeah, and I just have to admit, because I'm already on this page. I'm already on one of the pages where ever so slightly Nami's hair is getting longer since the East Blue. I think this arc is necessary because it really does show that time has passed. I know a lot of things in One Piece, especially when we got to the New World, it was just, things were happening. There was one arc that was one of the biggest arcs in the saga, and it's only one day, and it's kind of like, what? You're telling me one day? So
that's true.
I think it's necessary to show that they're probably having adventures off screen. They're probably, they're having time with each other, and this is kind of showing how it's developed. So I really like that Oda is hinting that time is passing very slowly, but time is passing for the characters. They're getting used to each other. They're getting used to the Thousand Sunny, and this is kind of the arc that shows how they've progressed since Enies Lobby.
There's a line that's mentioned in the beginning of the next arc, and I won't get into it too much, but to go to your point on how much time has passed, there's a character that the crew met in the East Blue, and one of the characters basically comments, "Oh my God, we haven't seen him in a really long time." And it's just something to show, wow, you know what? Literally, it's been a long time since that time happened in East Blue, and for the characters, to them it was also a long time as readers and the actual characters. So I do agree that at this point in the story, Oda does a pretty good job of like emphasizing like there is time passage for these characters. These are not the same people from day one in like the Don Craig arc with the Barate. It's not. But Yeah, Thriller Bark. So before getting into Thriller Bark proper, there's a very significant fight that goes down right before Thriller Bark's its introduction, right? You could consider this either the end, like the epilogue of epilogues to Water 7, or you could consider this like the very, very beginning of Thriller Bark. If you want to go by the volumes logic, technically volume 46, right here, right, this bad boy is the first volume of Thriller Bark, and the first chapter of this arc is Blackbeard versus Ace. And this fight is very important because it kicks off a lot of the things that are going to happen after Thriller Bark. So specifically with this fight, one thing I found really interesting is the whole concept of Blackbeard's devil fruit. We never really got to know what Blackbeard's goal was in, killing his division commander and the Whitebeard pirates. We just know he killed them, he stole a devil fruit, and he bailed. And Ace is tasked with hunting him down. Actually, I think Ace was the division commander. Ace was his division, right?
No. Was he?
I thought that was the reason. I think he is, because
right.
that was the reason why Ace was like, it's my responsibility because he was under my watch. Blackbeard killed a crewmate under my watch, under my command. I'm like,
yes,
right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Blackbeard was under Ace's command.
Okay. Right.
And because they said it when they met up a couple chapters ago. They're like, "Oh, you want to join my crew?"
Yeah. Go ahead, do it. I love Blackbeard's laugh, man. He's one of my favorite.
Fucking clown. Can't Thatch. He killed Thatch. That's his name.
Killed Thatch. And so we get to see what devil fruit that was. And it's the Yami Yami no Mi, the dark fruit. It is a darkness devil fruit, and there's just certain things about the devil fruit that is really cool when you consider its like category. So for example, it's considered a Logia type.
No, calling BS on that right now.
But you know what's okay, Nino, why do you call BS? Because what is your understanding of what a Logia type is? Go ahead.
Okay, because yes, it fits on paper. That's what Oda's telling us. Like, oh, this is just another devil fruit. This one's darkness, and all the Logias we've seen are fire, lightning, sand, like elements. But I'm calling BS because this is not the first time, and there won't be the last time. I know what you're saying.
I know what you're doing.
That Oda is like throwing inconsistencies within the logic that he has, within the rule set that he's usually very strict about. So,
true.
I'm just saying that I know that we can't speculate because I think that's for more of like when we do the episodes where, Blackbeard comes up again, like in the more recent episodes, like week to week, I'm definitely going to bring this up that if we see him again, I'm going to be like,
We're going to see him again.
Yeah, if it talks like a duck and quacks like a duck, but they say it's a goose, it's probably a duck.
I mean, it's very true. There are devil fruits that Oda classifies early on as him saying this is a paramecia devil fruit. That is the law. And then turns out hundreds of chapters later, he's like, but did I really say that?
I think it's purposeful misdirection. It's an established thought, established idea, and then he says, but what if it wasn't truly established? What if the characters that I've created were actually flawed in their classification system? So,
it could be a misidentification on his own part. It could be, because what it's a Logia type, or at least that's what he's calling it. It's a Logia.
He is
type.
darkness.
He is darkness. However, it's a Logia type with an asterisk, a very, very big asterisk. Blackbeard does not become darkness itself. Similar to all our other Logia types. You got Crocodile, he becomes sand. Eneru, he becomes lightning. Blackbeard does not become darkness. He is still, you can still touch Blackbeard. Blackbeard does not become darkness itself. However, it's a very interesting devil fruit because it can it has gravity into its kit. It can suck in like a black hole. It has those elements as well, but it also it sucks in things in a literal sense too. Blackbeard takes damage. He sucks in damage because of his fruit, and it gets amplified a lot more than how it traditionally would be felt. So if someone were to punch, like Ace, if Ace were to punch Blackbeard, and he did not have the Yami Yami no Mi, it would probably hurt. You'd be like, ow, that stung. Why would you do that? When he eats the Yami Yami no Mi and Ace punches him in the face, this man will be screaming on the floor. It amplifies the damage that is taken. At the same time, it almost acts like hockey in a way, because it negates devil fruit powers as well. And there was a long-standing theory until very, very recently that Blackbeard did not know how to use hockey because his devil fruit basically negated devil fruit powers. And it turns out that is not the case. I was gonna be shocked if Blackbeard did not know hockey at this point in the story. Yes, Blackbeard has a devil fruit that negates other devil fruit powers, and that's how he fights against Ace. Did you guys like this fight? Was it, kind of just standard, like, all right, it's cool, it's nice, different?
Anime wise, and I'm sure Kame Chris can speak to this too. I mean, it's not the best looking fight or choreographed fight, which is fine, but it's like, as a reader or as a watcher, you think Ace has this fight in the bag, and then you realize, oh shit, he doesn't. And so it's kind of, this rug pull where it's like, our heroes, our protagonists are always safe. And watching this, you're like, oh, he's not safe. He might be fucked.
Well, you see, here's the issue. Ace ate the flame fruit when he should have eaten the main character fruit. Because this is not about.
Oh goodness!
Not about
Here we go.
This is about Monkey D. Luffy, if I remember correctly.
I mean, you're not wrong, but again, Ace has been built up to this point to be quite strong,
And it's a big deal when he gets beat.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So it was like nobody is safe. Even like I think up until this point, we haven't watched. A relatively good character, like morally good, lose.
Oh my! You know what? This chapter. The ending of this chapter, is very reminiscent to one of the more recent chapters. Also involving, you could say that he's a brother of some kind, because the narrator or an off voice that doesn't have a body is explaining what's happening and saying, oh, in this time it's the narrator saying this event will shake up the entire pirate world. And in the other chapter, the more recent chapters, you see the thing that shakes up the entire pirate world, but it's more of a cover-up. It just rhymes. It's like poetry.
Yes, Mr. Lucas. I mean, for sure, the narrator at the end of this chapter, because you don't get to see the conclusion of this fight, at least not yet. Ace is just Ace is up against a wall, as Grandmaster Hoop said, and we're gonna see him go all out potentially. But you don't see the conclusion of this fight, and you get the narrator basically saying, the conclusion of this fight is gonna shake up the pirate world, and it damn well did. Had this fight not happened, we would not get the subsequent arcs that happened up until the time skip in One Piece. Because
if this fight did not happen, we wouldn't have the rest of One Piece.
Right.
As we know it.
It would be an entirely different story.
It would be very different. Yes, it would.
Very,
This
Oh my
very
God,
different.
hugely different. Goodness.
And
Yeah.
he did not throw around that phrasing lightly. Like he was being like, sometimes people say Oda like bait hypes. Like he's like, oh, I'm gonna say this and try to like, hype up people because it's really not something that's gonna happen. He was being serious here. Did this change the world of One Piece? And it damn well did. But Blackbeard has a very interesting devil fruit. Gets expanded on a little bit as time goes on, and that's basically all we get with Blackbeard versus Ace. At that point, we shift gears back into Luffy and the crew, the Straw Hats. They're heading towards the Florian Triangle. Lady Kokoro basically gave them a fair warning before heading off, saying, your next stop is Fishman Island, technically, but to get to Fishman Island, you have to sail through the Florian Triangle, and it is a place where ships go missing, unknown creatures roam those waters, and it's a spooky place. It is very spooky, and I think Oda wanted to test some waters here to see, what's something zany I can do in this arc. Because the first thing they find is basically like a barrel shoots up a flare in the middle of the water, and that of course is attracting someone else to come in and basically grab the Straw Hats. But before that someone else comes in, right, they sail past a ghost ship and everything's very spooky. The atmosphere is chilling, and the introduction of one of my favorite Straw Hats is coming in. Grandmaster, what does he say? What's his first line? Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yo, yo, yo. And it's a very grim setting because he's
It's
just a
super
skeleton.
slow.
It's
Yeah,
super,
it's super slow and like
it's super
spooky.
scary.
It's
Yeah,
like
it's eerie.
It's like, what is
And
that?
I think he turns and looks at them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usopp is shitting bricks.
No, all of them is like mouth to the floor when they're looking at him.
It's funny because it's basically a giant ass ship with this spooky ass skeleton. I mean, it's funny too because they hear the song first and they're like, oh my god, that's a ghost ship. Like, who's singing that? And it's funny because they look and they see someone on the ship, but they can't tell what it is, and like it starts zooming in slowly. It looks at Chopper first. And these guys, I mean, these guys are scared like to the bone. Oh,
The poem.
like this is just so funny. These guys are petrified, and funny enough, they send the crewmates that are not scared to go investigate this ship. They send off Luffy, Sanji, Chopper, and Usopp ain't going on that.
Hell no.
Hell no.
Goodness.
But the tone.
Well, they drew lots. They drew lots.
They drew.
Yeah, I was
lots.
gonna say they drew sticks.
They drew sticks. I feel like even if they did draw like the crappy end of those sticks, Usopp and Chopper were gonna try and weasel their way out. They are not going on that ship. But the tone shifts very quickly because Nami, Sanji, and Luffy, they board the ship. And immediately, without hesitation, they get introduced to the very prim and proper Brooks. He has a very nice introduction. He's all happy. He's nice. He's polite. Kind of pervy. Very pervy, actually.
Yeah, he's a major perv. He's definitely a major perv of the series for sure.
And I think we can begin the critique of. This is where Oda really started being a little too pervy. There are always moments because this is a shonen, and unfortunately, shonen mangakas have a bad tendency, and Japanese cultures suited this way, where they're like, "Ooh, teenage boys, you know what they need? Sexualization of women," and it's just humor that I don't think lands well. I've gotten used to it, but one of the first things he says is, "May I take a look at your panties?" Excuse me.
I will admit, even as a kid, I never found like perviness in characters like all that funny. I kind of like some of their other quirks. Like that is one of the first words that he exchanges with Nami. He notices her beauty. He's, oh my God, you're actually quite beautiful. You're quite attractive. Can I take a look at those? Can I please take a look at those undergarments? And it's like, Jesus Christ, man. It is literally one panel. It is one panel from his introduction. And he immediately just starts asking these questions. What were you saying, Grandmaster? Were you going to defend Brooke?
I'm not defending the perviness. No, I'm not a fan of it either. I was just going to say he does start with the whole, he's a skeleton. So this is his shtick. He makes a bunch of like idioms about, yeah. And, like he says, I met eyes with you before if I had eyes, like stuff like stupid stuff like that. Cause and he makes them, he's funny. He's a comical character. Does the perviness come off as great form of comedy? No, but he's not an evil skeleton. He's very likable. Especially to Luffy. Luffy really likes him. He thinks he's funny. He thinks he's like the coolest thing, a talking skeleton with an afro.
It is freaking awesome. I love it.
The first thing that Luffy says, and I think this is quality writing. Luffy, the first thing he asks after busting a gut says, "Do you still have to poo?"
Do you still have to?
And he says it with like one of the one of the most like innocent faces that you could say it. He looks
He's
like a
curious.
child
He's curious. He wants to know, like, how does this work? Do you have to go to the bathroom? Like, what?
And then you see Sanji like just berating him, and then Brooke actually answers that he in fact does poo.
BS.
I don't think he poops.
BS.
Yeah, I don't think he poops.
He, according to him, he does. But I'm like, no, I don't believe that. Pics or it didn't happen.
Yes, pics. I need to see pics. Right. Not that I want to see pics of Brooke pooping, but
it's just a skeleton. There's nothing wrong.
Right. Whatever.
But immediately following that, it's funny because Sanji, as Nino said, he starts berating Luffy, saying, "We have so many more questions before something stupid like that. Like, who are you? Why are you here? Why are you alone on this shit?" Like, logical questions to ask in a situation like this. And instead of him, Brooke giving an answer or Luffy following up on it, Luffy literally says, and it's 2-panel devotion. I love these from Oda. He says, "Never mind all that. Do you want to join my crew?" Oh, I'd love to. Yo, like right there, right then and there. Bam, new crew member. We just got Frankie. That is insane.
I heard someone say, and I'm not going to mention them, but their opinions have been a little polarizing, to say the least. But they were saying that this was a gag from Oda, and like, of course, and I was like, huh? Because now looking back on it, this is a 2-page spread where one side of the page says, "Do you want to join my crew?" and the other side says, "I'd love to." I don't know how more on the nose Oda could be with that.
What? So this person was basically saying that it was initially a gag, that Oda wasn't serious. Oh,
yeah,
no,
that Oda
BS.
wasn't serious about Brooke, and that he was trying to like be like, haha, it's just a joke throughout the entire arc until the end where he like earns Luffy's. And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know about this.
I wouldn't call it a gag.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call it a gag.
Hooper TV pointed this out. He said the way, it was very traditional in the East Blue Saga how a crewmate would join, and then same thing with Chopper as well. But then from Robin, everybody has a very interesting arc when it comes to joining the crew.
Yeah,
they're all very different. So this is like the first time. Well, not the first time. I guess Zoro was like the first one. He's like, "Hey, I heard about you. Join my crew." But Brooke, yeah, right off rip, you didn't think he would be asking this guy to be part of his crew. You're right. We did just meet Frankie, so it's like, damn, another crew member like that. And
right.
Yeah.
And
they kind of like, I mean, like do gag it in a way, because right after that they're like, oh no. He was like, well, I can't because I don't have a shadow, so yeah, I can't go in the sun, so I'm no good. So then it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, how serious was that? Like in the anime, it's not like a whole panel, like it's not like it's a moment, but you know, it's so it's like it's a moment, but it's not like I don't know, like right when he said he didn't have a shadow, it was just like, oh, well, I don't even know if to take this seriously, or he like, why would we even have him on the crew? But then as the story progresses, you're like, okay, of course, Brooke is
I think that's the beauty of it, is that it seems like it's going to be a gag, and then you really just don't know what's going to happen.
And to build off of like what we're talking about this, Oda had Thriller Bark planned for a good minute. This is some background knowledge with Thriller Bark. He knew that he wanted to have a song for a very special character that was going to make his debut in Thriller Bark before Thriller Bark was going to happen. And he wanted this song for both the manga that he was going to draw and the anime, to the point where he was in the middle of Enies Lobby. It was either Enies Lobby or Water 7. And he reached out to an anime composer. I can't remember the name, but it was a very famous anime composer in the industry. And he asked this composer, hey, I'm in the middle of an arc right now, but there's an arc coming up where a character is going to be introduced, and I want to have a song for this character, rather than me like making it up on my own and then for the anime to then go back and try to add like, you know, the melody and all that. Can you make the melody and then I add like the lyrics and how the song flows and whatnot? So Oda wanted to make a song, a very important song. And funny enough, he said, he told this composer, you know, you have a year to put this together because I am about a year away from getting to Thriller Bark. This man did not get to Thriller Bark from this moment until 4 to 5 years later. So that kind of puts into perspective. He had this planned 4 to 5 years before he got to Thriller Bark. To say that Oda was not serious about having Brooke join the crew at this point, I call major BS. He reached out to an anime composer to draft something that is whimsical and musical so that it can be played in the anime for this character. Like this is heavy. And then, you know, even this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but there's an actual like 2-page spread of the song, like the full Binks's Brew song that the characters sing. And it has the rhyming, it has the flow. It's a real song.
It's a beautiful song.
It's a very beautiful song. If you know, I know a lot of people are manga readers only. I highly implore you to watch the Binks's Brew. Like listen to it.
Come out. Have you listened to it?
Yes, I listened to Binks's Brew.
Oh, I thought I remember a time you had not listened to it before.
I think it was because I didn't recognize the name. I know what Brooks's song is. So I just was like,
you can call it Binks's Brew or Bink no Sake.
Maybe I remembered it as Bink no Sake.
Yeah.
But I had heard of Binks's Brew before. It's Brooks's literal theme for joining the crew. But of course, as we said, Brooke is not ready to join the crew yet. He has his shadow taken away. They all ask him, hey, what do you mean? How does that make sense? You got a shadow missing? And he informs them that the Shichibukai that stole his shadow was none other than Gecko Moria. We're already on to another warlord of the sea. And I don't think it's at this point that he tells them anything about like his background, right? He doesn't tell them.
No. We don't learn that till a little later.
We don't know anything.
Yeah, we just know. Yeah, he doesn't have a shadow.
Okay.
He has to stay in that ocean because of the fog, and you know the sun. There's no sun that shines through there.
He mentioned that he died. Like he ate a devil fruit, right?
He does mention the devil fruit. He mentioned
because he has to explain why he's a skeleton.
Right, and he mentions, he ate the fruit. What is it? The vive fruit. It just revives him.
Yep, it just revives you. Basically, a 1-up.
Right. So that's it.
And then what was the reason why he's a skeleton though? Like his soul got, because he's in the Florian Triangle when he died, his soul could not find its way back.
Oh, right. It doesn't make you a skeleton, but his body had decomposed. Right. That's what it is.
Because he could not find it again.
I think it was he recognized the afro and he's like, there's my body.
Yeah, look at the afro. But I've been missing. I couldn't find it. I think he couldn't find it for a couple years.
So something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right here. My spirit wandered around in search of my body for an entire year. So naturally, it would just be bones.
Which is kind of a bad stereotype that they did there, because there was a thing that like afros would last longer. Like it's some like because it's so kinky. So then, but that's not obviously real, because if you decompose, your hair will be lost too. So it's kind of like, oh, this is another
insensitive stereotype on the afro.
Well, I mean, they even address it though, because Zoro says like, I've never heard of a skeleton with hair before. That doesn't make any sense. And then Brooke literally says, well, I just had very strong follicles.
See,
that's it.
And I was gonna get there. Strong.
And then, but like, even then, Zoro's like, that still doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
They're pushing it.
Who's the real racist here?
Right.
Zoro was put on.
Oh man. But from there he just basically mentions the whole, if he goes out into the sunlight, that's why he's stuck here. If he goes onto the sun, he's gonna wither away, disappear into dust, because he needs his shadow. Those who do not have their shadows are forever shunned away from the sun. So he needs his shadow back, and if he gets his shadow back, that's when he would be more than willing to join the crew. So that's when they immediately notice. I think one of the ghosts from Perona's we'll meet her later.
One of her ghosts pops up.
One of her ghosts pops up in the ship, and they're like, yo, what the hell is going on here? This is spooky. And then they realize, holy crap, this is not good. We are in Thriller Bark. We're now captured by Thriller Bark. And then it's revealed the barrel that they found earlier in the arc, the one that shot the flare into the sky, that was a trap so that Thriller Bark can come in, snatch up the boat, and now they're stuck on the island. So we're now on Thriller Bark proper. I think this is where Brooke is like, I don't want you guys to die. I'm gonna go venture off and find my shadow. And then he does that little scurry thing on the water where I like his little run. It's cool. It's funny. He's like, it's like Looney Tune, like running animation thing where he's like skidding on the water, and they're saying, wow, he's running on water. And his logic is, oh, well, I'm really light because I'm all bones. Yo.
Oh God.
One thing I will say, there's a lot of things that I don't like in English dub. Brooke is not one of them. I really like Brooks's English dub voice actor. His name is escaping me, but he also
Sinclair.
does what? Sinclair?
Ian Sinclair.
Ian Sinclair.
You don't like the Japanese voice actor?
No. I mean, like, for English dub, there's usually a lot of English dub that I don't like, and that's just because I don't get the same like feeling of the character from them. Brooks's English dub is not one of them. I like Brooks's English dub, obviously, as well as his Japanese voice actor. But I thought it's kind of cool that they got like Whis, the guy who voices Whis, to voice Brooke. He
was doing Brooke before he did Whis.
But it sounds literally like it sounds like verbatim exactly like which is later Whis, but or I guess at that point it's like, wait, does Whis sound like Brooke or does Brooke sound like Whis?
Well, I am team. I think Brooke is black. Brooke is black. right?
Yes, Brooke is black.
Yes.
The actor is
Yeah,
white.
I guess.
Oh, we're going with that?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Goodness.
I'm just saying.
Well, to be fair, you don't know that he's black until he gets his backstory, like
Correct.
later.
Correct.
So I mean, there's
Which I
that.
guess I'm happy they gave him melanin. I guess.
He's melanated, baby.
Whatever. It's little tiny gripe. Not that big of a gripe. The voice actor's still good. Don't get me wrong.
Really, really good. At that point, it's time to explore Thriller Bark. You know, I think it's like Nami, Nami, Usopp, Chopper, right? They're the ones that venture off into Thriller Bark. They go on the one of the docking stations from
They
the
go on
Sunny.
the Little Mary.
The Little Mary, Mini Mary.
Mini
I
Mary.
like that. That was
Oh,
nice.
that was beautiful. That was very nice. Good job, Frankie. He knows the
He
history.
knew. Yes.
Yeah, that was just really nice.
Well, no, it was because Nami went in on him and cursed him out because he like made something else, and she was like, "What are you doing? You know, you could use enough." He used something else.
He
like
touched her wave runner from Skypia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, "What are you doing?" And then
what
he made was that.
Right. That's true.
He cares. He's earning.
He cares.
That's some good crew points right there for Frankie.
Yeah,
he was official at that. I mean, he was official before this, but he is more than official now. This is someone you can rely on.
Granted, I forget why. Why did those three go? That was a weird.
They drew lots again, didn't they?
Oh,
did they draw lots again? I don't remember how exactly they determined it.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's not too important. I mean, these are the first ones.
Because those three are the
But if
most
we don't know
scared.
this one very specific detail, how will we understand the inner machinations that Oda was trying to portray?
I don't know, Grandmaster. Tell us.
We're good.
Tell
We're good.
us.
I thought it was interesting because those three are like the most scared. So
you're bogging us down.
I'm not. We're good. We can move on.
They were all happy that the Mary came back.
They're happy that the Mary came back.
So one thing I do want to point out, like up until this point, that was happening a lot in this episode. They were eating a lot. Like, I don't know if you guys ever noticed in these moments, but they are like eating down. Like, food is so important.
Abundant.
Every time they like have those moments where it's like right before they go somewhere, or even like they just take a rest. Like, it's just the descriptions that Sanji gives about certain food. I'm like, why is it like, you know, they just really dig into food itself, but they don't really like expand on it too much. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that big of a deal, but they do make it a big deal in those moments. Just want to throw that out there.
Well, but wait a minute. Food's not that important right now. Not until the Food Emperor saga.
Hold up. I would just like to point out to Chris's point, you know, Sanji makes everybody's dish like what they like, you know?
Oh, he does?
Majority of the time, Sanji will make specifically what they like, unless it's like, you know, unless it's like, this is what we're eating type of deal. He's very much, he'll make what everybody enjoys, which is something to point out, I think, to add to the point. It's not that everybody's eating. Everybody's eating what they want to eat too.
Oh, like when they're eating dinner with Brooke and they actually have like a table set up. Is that what you mean?
No, he's saying like he's cooking specifically what they want, and it's not like any restrictions, or like he's not make any ultimatums or anything about it.
He used to do that. He used to do that.
Yeah,
okay.
He does that for like everybody specifically, especially like Nami or Robin. Like, it's always something he always caters to everybody specifically in a very you know, nice way.
No, that's important to point out, because there's some implications of food later on in the story that that we'll get into when we get into it. But yeah, so Usopp, Nami, Chopper, they go off to explore. It's not even like 2 seconds, they start screaming. It's like, okay, there's a problem right there. They're either kidnapped, lost, they're getting attacked. The arc is starting proper. And it's not a One Piece arc unless the crew splits up. They always got to split up, whether all individually or in Group A versus Group B. It ain't a One Piece arc unless everyone's off doing their own thing.
Well, it's good to have, pairings, see how,
because
it's fun.
You could have, a certain, theme of the plot progressing with one group, and then you have another one progressing with another group. And that's exactly what happens, because as soon as they leave, Luffy, Sanji, and the rest that stayed on the ship, they're experiencing their own problems. All of a sudden, this is where Oda kind of lost me with how weird he was starting to be in this arc, and it's like, Oda, come on.
Nico Robin gets licked by an invisible thing. Come on now.
Just slobbered over.
He plays with everybody. He takes Zoro's sword, pulls Luffy's cheeks, and then this was uncomfortable for everybody, I think.
It was just weird. And of course, it gets worse.
It gets worse.
It definitely gets worse, right?
And I mean, listen, you don't see, because this invisible man is known as Absalom, right? Everyone's favorite Absalom. He's invisible.
God, you're right.
Yes.
You're right. Oh, this makes it 100 times worse.
It makes it 100 times worse because we know what type of character he is. And I mean, he's invisible. You can't see it, but when he's licking Robin, there's slobber going into certain areas. And I'm like, Oda, God damn it, man. Why? Like, thankfully, it's only a panel. It's one panel. And it's like, all right, let's.
It's worse in the anime. You think it's bad?
Is it worse in the anime? How is it
yes,
worse?
It's very creepy.
What?
It's
very
so
creepy.
bad.
As in, he does more than that? Or like.
No,
it's just.
They exaggerate the pinning of Robin's arms and how she can't move.
Jesus, my God. And why? So Oda was tamed then, I guess. Jeez, man, this is ridiculous.
I mean, it's just like you don't have, when you have characters like this, you don't have to go all the way like that. Like, we get it. He's a perv. He's a predator, but it's like,
oh wow, he's a
predator.
He's
like
a literal. Yeah, he's a lion. Or
he's a cheetah, isn't he?
He's a no.
It's a lion. It's a lion.
It's a lion.
It's some kind
Because
of.
you meet the lion where he got his face from.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I guess it matches with his MO, what he is and how he acts. But either way, that's going on. They're trying to deal with Absalom, and in the meantime, Nami, Usopp, Chopper, they're getting escorted by some bat creature thing to Hogback's mansion. And this is where we get some, there's a world outside of One Piece that's not relevant to what the Straw Hats are going through. You get a name drop of Dr. Hogback, and that's a really big deal for Chopper, something that he's never mentioned before. These characters looked up to people before, having joined the crew or whatever they do with the Straw Hats. And when he hears about Dr. Hogback, he's like, oh my God, Dr. Hogback? That's my idol. That's my idol. He's my hero. I looked up to him. He's a doctor in medicine, and he went missing like X number of years ago. So turns out he's on Thriller Bark. And it's basically a trap. This guy is leading Usopp and the rest of them through this haunted forest, and they're just encountering all these scary ass things like walking trees, chimeras, lions.
Yeah, see the lion. You meet the lion with Absalom's face.
Right.
Oh God, yeah, it's just freaking weird. And then they do the whole thing where they rub their eyes and the tree
and it's gone, and they disappear. It's funny because they say, "I literally just saw a demigorgon just walking down the street," and the bat character, he's like, "What do you mean? There's nothing there. Look." There's no one there. It's just trees. It's just a forest. There's no reason to be afraid. These guys ain't having it, man. They're sick of this. They say, turn this carriage around. And he's like, okay. I understand you're afraid. I wanted to introduce you to Dr. Hogback. You were really excited to see him. All right. Let me go tell the person leading the carriage. He goes out, he dips them, he just runs and leaves them abandoned in this haunted forest. And that's when the zombie horde starts coming. The true, like, at this point, it was Oda really wanted to do a Haunted Mansion arc. You really got that feeling out here. You got the zombies coming out of the ground. They all start grabbing Nami, grabbing Usopp, Chopper. It's quite spooky. Like, were you into Thriller Bark at this point, now that you knew what kind of spooky arc it was supposed to be? Because you have a confirmation at this point. You're gonna get zombies. You had ghosts earlier with Perona. You're probably gonna get, I don't know, haunted paintings and haunted mansions. Were you here for it yet, or did it still take some time?
I mean, I think the whole thing is definitely funny. I think they make a point to be like, zombies can't run, and then these zombies they start sprinting.
Yes.
So I think the whole thing right now is just really played up for laughs. Oh, the zombies don't have stamina though, so
they get tired. Yes.
They run, but then they get tired. It's just funny. It's really funny. I think Oda definitely excels with these characters and being funny. Obviously, I think if you just take a step back, you realize something bigger is probably going down. Like, I don't think watching this, I was like, oh man, One Piece has zombies too in their world. I think there was always something, like an air of something else going on versus, they just have all these different type of creatures going like in their world.
Oh, like there was a power or something. There was something in the background.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm in it. I'm laughing. I'm enjoying it just by laughing.
It's a good comedy arc compared to something like Foxy Pirates, where it's a lot of nothing that's just going on. It's kind of just there. But this is the kind of comedy I like in One Piece. If I'm gonna have to laugh at One Piece, this is the comedy I want. This one was straight up silly. This was funny. But eventually they end up at Hogback's mansion. The zombies kind of chase them in that direction, and they get introduced to Dr. Hogback. Grandmaster Hoop and I have different takes on how this laugh is.
Comic Chris is with me. Is
he team anime? He's team anime.
Yes.
This is how it happens.
Yeah.
How's it go?
No, you go ahead. You go first. Go ahead.
Literally, the manga panel that I'm looking at says it says fo ho ho. That's his laugh.
I'm telling you, that is why you need to be careful with what you read, because that ain't it.
Yeah, that's not it.
It is so stupid what it is. It's Bosh.
That's what you prefer?
Bosh. Yes, because it's stupid. It's funny. Like, what the fuck laugh is this?
How often does he laugh in the anime?
A lot.
Okay, I will say in the manga, he does not have a lot of, like, early, like right here in his introduction, he has a lot of laughs where he's like, you read the laugh sound effect. But after this like brief introduction, he doesn't really laugh that much. Yeah, so
like every time he comes on screen, he'll do at least one and be like, Push!
But that's it. He'll end it at Push.
I mean, if he's laughing, but
okay.
But Brook does it too, though. In the anime, he laughs a lot. He laughs all the time.
Okay, yeah, Brook, they have it in the manga where like you see all the dialogue bubbles where he's like yo, so that's his shtick. With Hogback though, he only has it like in the beginning. After that, he doesn't really drop the laugh too much. But I guess if in the anime they have more liberties with dialogue, I imagine they did not want to say "foo" or too much, so they made their own. But Dr. Hogback doesn't seem antagonistic at first. He's very welcoming. He's saying, "Oh wow, fellow doctor, Dr. Chopper. I see you look up to me, and this is my work that I've been doing here on Thriller Bark. What is it that he's doing on Thriller Bark? He's kind of just like resurrecting people from the dead. Like that's his shtick.
That's not what he tells them, is it?
That's not what he tells them. I'm trying to think of like what he tells them to like kind of ease them out of it. The eternal dream of humanity, to bring back loved ones from the dead. That's what he's trying to do.
Oh, there you go.
So he spins it as, no one likes seeing their loved ones die. I'm trying to find a way to resurrect the dead so that people can say their final goodbyes to their loved ones or live again with their loved ones if they died to a disease or if they were murdered. It's a very noble, I guess, dream in a way when spun in the I guess portrayal that Hogback has here, because Chopper's in for. He's like, oh wow, that's very impressive, Dr. Hogback. I am actually very intrigued by this. But of course, some of his antagonistic ways are at the forefront when Chopper says, "Hey, can I go to your laboratory? I kind of want to see what you do." And Hogback just gets in his face. I'm assuming he does it in the manga too. He's like, "Don't you dare ever get into my laboratory."
Yeah, basically he's like, "Don't ever peek into my lab."
Ever.
Quick switch, right? Yeah.
Very quick switch. So at that point, it's like, okay, this guy's hiding something.
I mean, I hate to judge a book by its cover, but just look at the guy. The guy does not look like you could trust him. He looks like a weird, pointy-nosed vampire.
He never has his mouth closed. His mouth is always open. That creeps me out.
He has like a like Hades from Hercules vibe.
Oh, okay. I kind of see it. Instead of the chin thing, he's got the nose.
Right.
Yeah.
And just that, yeah, you just knew it was like, okay, this we gotta fight this guy.
I just realized he's wearing fishnets.
Yes, he is.
Get up his fishnets.
Can't.
Oh my god! What a fashion!
Oh, and he's got a boa. No, it's not a boa, but he's got that.
What the
cape.
little?
It looks like
the cape. The cape.
Like a boa cape. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I just don't trust this guy. You meet Sindri, right?
Sindri, yes.
And Sindri is saying some stuff, and he's like, "Don't pay attention to her. She doesn't know what she's saying." Because Sindri's about to give away his whole scheme half the time.
Oh, is that what is happening in the anime?
I don't know. Sindri just pops up, and obviously there's something wrong with her too.
Yeah, she's got scarring all over her. She's acting really weird. She hates plates for whatever reason.
Right.
And but Hogback is weird too, and he basically gives them a room to be like, "Hey, if you guys want to spend the night, go ahead. There's a room." And then you can return to your crewmates. Then, of course, it gets more weird at this point. We were alluding to it earlier. You get more Absalom coming in because Nami's in the shower. He's pinning her against the wall, doing weird stuff. It's weird, man. It's weird. It's all weird stuff. I don't like Absalom. It ain't no hint. It ain't no hint at this point. I don't like Absalom at all. He's just a punk. I don't like him. And Nami kicks him in the balls, and that's that.
It's just a little overdone. Like
very overdone. This becomes a gag later, though, him being invisible. I think this is hilarious because another character faces him later. We'll get to that. It's funny. But yeah, at that point, Absalom's no longer on the ship, so because of that, Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats are now venturing into Thriller Bark proper to find their crewmates that went and wandered off. So they're encountering all these same creatures. Luffy's seeing the zombies. This happens in the anime too, and I like both portrayals. Luffy sees a zombie for the first time pop out. He is not shocked at all. Does not, like get the starry eyes or anything. He just sees a zombie come out, and he just walks up to it casually and just starts pushing the zombie back into the ground. And the zombie just loses its shit. It just gets so angry. It says, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you pushing me back into the ground?" And Luffy's just staring at it. Why? Like, just, he's like, "Are you an old man with grave injuries?" And it's like, how does this make any sense? How does this make any? The anime did it perfectly. I love the anime's portrayal of this scene.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah, a lot of Thriller Bark gets memed from its anime.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That is a very, very notorious scene where it's one of the few clips you see a lot from Thriller Bark. Luffy pushing the zombie back into the ground, and the zombie screaming at Luffy, saying, "What the hell are you doing, man?" So it's all cool. It's all cool. But yeah, zombies are not a big deal to the Straw Hats. They know how to handle them. They're relatively weak for the most part. They just got big numbers. At that point, you see more Perona action, or not really Perona, but you see more of the ghosts that are coming into the fray from here. These are just funny little lines that they say when the ghosts kind of go into the characters, because it elicits negative emotions.
Negative emotion, yes.
What are some of the things these guys say? Like,
oh,
I wish I was born as a worm, or
who says that?
What, like Zoro or Luffy? A lot of them get hit by this, and they just say very lowly things like, "I wish I was," or Zoro says like, "I'm lower than dirt. I belong in the ground." Like,
I know. Sanji at one point says, "My eyebrows too twirly." That might be later on during it, but he says that, and it's just like, okay, sure.
And it's this, and then coupled this with the other three are learning about the mansion, and there is creepy stuff happening in the mansion.
Yes, they find the photo of Sindri when she was alive.
And here's looking at this from like a more critical lens. When I was reading back of this, I don't care.
You don't care about Sindri's backstory that will tie into Raftel at the end?
Oh my god. But it just these things just seem very mid. They seem very like, oh, things are happening, the plot's progressing. We understand that they all have, they all are learning about a mystery in this place. But the mysteries aren't necessary. The only plus I'll give it is that Chopper has like a very direct emotional tie to Dr. Hogback.
Yes.
And
I like this.
I think that's just a theme in One Piece, that either you die like Goldie Roger, or you live yourself to long enough to see yourself become Dr. Hogback. Because like all people's heroes, if they're alive, either they have reasonably stepped out of the limelight, or they are continuing to try and follow their dream in a perverted sense. Like, it's been tainted. It's been something that the characters, like the main characters, looked up to, and now they have to force to question it. But everything else is just very, there's creepy stuff going on, and there's not a lot of substance to it right now. So that's one of the only issues that I see. And I think this is a big reason why Thriller Bark gets, memed on so hard, is because there's a lot of stuff here that is just, we're just going through the motions here. Like,
no one cares about the mystery with Sindri.
Oh my god, no one cares about the mystery. No one cares about why they're ghosts. I'm like, just who are they gonna have to fight?
Listen, just treat it like Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. It's a very self-contained story that does not really tie back to the greater universe of Scooby-Doo outside of the main characters and the concept of solving mysteries. This is a self-contained.
There's a big difference.
I know there's a big difference.
I don't
but it's
watch
just like,
One Piece for Scooby-Doo.
listen, they're trying to give Thriller Bark a character, and that's what they're really doing. And you either buy into it or you don't. That's
Well,
really
it's not even so much that I don't vibe with the aesthetic. I don't vibe yes, Thriller Bark has its own things going on, but I feel like the mystery isn't as enticing as some of Oda's other mysteries within the One Piece world.
There's definitely not. There's no argument about that. You just gotta take it for what it is. I mean, this whole Sindri bit, I don't even know if that comes up again in this arc.
It comes up at when you get the revelation of like who she really was and what happened to her. But I get what Nino's saying, because like it's one of those things where like when they discover Sindri's room, they're playing it as something really big, like you know they're you know looking for clues, and they're like, Jinkies, what's going on here? And you know they have this panel where like Nami's like shocked, like she just discovered one of the poneglyphs from a news article, and it's just she's literally just saying Sindri died in an accident 10 years ago. Who the hell cares? Like it
really does feel like Scooby-Doo. It really does feel like
yes,
Scooby-Doo.
it does. It sure does.
Both in a good and bad way.
Yeah.
A good and a bad way.
It's a refreshing aesthetic choice.
Yes.
I just feel like we don't get back to like feeling like One Piece so much until the end of the arc. Like
yes.
Well, there's some other points that I think feel like One Piece. We'll get to them.
Some of the matchups. Yeah.
Well, I would also say when it comes to Brook's backstory, that feels like One Piece, a tie-in that you did not expect or ever thought.
Oh yeah,
would come in.
no one expected.
Because this is. Let's just get to it. Let's get to it.
You want to skip all the way?
No,
to
not skip to it. Let's get to it.
Okay, right. So Brooke, I think. Wait, no, it's Robin. I don't know who it is. They discovered the whole Sindri thing. Like, there's something fishy. Hogback is not who he says he is, and things are afoot. So everything just, you know, the curtain rises. It's time to start fighting these people. There's no more charades going on here. It's around this time I think Hogback like summons a samurai. Ooh.
Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. Hold up there. You're forgetting a very big important thing. Like I think that this kind of ties into the rest of the One Piece world, where they're like fighting the zombies and then they learn whose island it is.
Whose island it is?
Yeah, we made a mistake. This is where they learn. Brooke just told him he got his shadow taken. He didn't.
Oh, they didn't
say
know.
No.
Yeah, they didn't say yet. They didn't say
final battle of this chapter, which is chapter 448, is the final page is like, just like Brooke, you don't have a shadow. And it's like, his name is Moria. And then it's like, do you mean Gecko Moria? And then it ties in. Gecko Moria is one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Dun dun dun. You know what I mean?
Spooky.
It is. It brings it into perspective. It's like, why are we going through this? Why
are we here? And again, it's one of the few bits where this is bigger world One Piece coming back in. This felt like Skypiea in a lot of wrong ways in terms of like you said, why are we here? Why are we on this island? This is not affecting the world in any way. I don't feel like I'm on the Grand Line at this time. But that's when you get the name drop of Gecko Moria. And funny enough, I don't think you see Gecko Moria physically yet. I think you get like maybe a silhouette of him, and he's this giant ass dude. Like I don't know how the anatomy works in One Piece a lot, but this guy is just
does whatever
massive.
The fuck it wants.
Whatever it cares to do.
And he's not even like massive. He's just like
he's an onion.
He's a bowling pin. He looks like one of those clowns at the carnival that you knock down with the ball, the carnival game.
Yeah, like a gecko. Like a gecko.
He doesn't look like a gecko.
A gecko.
He just looks weird.
I don't know where the gecko part comes from.
Remember what I told you? They all have animal tie-ins.
That's right. Dracula Mihawk, Boa Hancock,
Crocodile.
Right. Crocodile. Right. That one was just on the nose. His name was Crocodile.
Doflamingo.
Right.
Bartholomew Kuma. Yes, they're all related to animals. So he's Gecko.
This dude just sleeps a lot. Very lazy. We don't know too much about him, just a silhouette, but we know he's involved in this game. It's Luffy's second warlord that he's about to face off against. Because Luffy's about to fight this guy. There's a warlord that's scheming and causing all this chaos to happen. Luffy's going to have to kick some ass, okay? At this point, you got introduced to all the villains proper. You get Absalom. You actually see him this time. You see what he looks like. He's like a half man, half lion thing. No one cares about Absalom. He has an invisible devil fruit. That comes into play much, much later. And then you have Perona. A lot of people like Perona. Perona's kind of cool. I like her. But people really like Perona.
I think I like her later on when she comes up again, randomly.
You like her relationships later, like kind of who she plays off of? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I guess kind of here she's just like
she's a lackey.
Yeah, like you know what this feels like in a way? It feels like those old school anime movies where they would be their own little thing, and you have like the big bad, like he's the main villain of the anime movie, and then the lackeys you have the big brute, you have the slender looking like pretty boy character, and then you have the female. You remember those?
You're describing Spirited Away, but sure.
I literally described to you Naruto Clash in the Land of Snow. I described to you.
Oh, you're thinking. Okay. I thought you were thinking like Miyazaki type.
No,
but yes, I know.
No, he was talking about Mid, not Miyazaki.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I like Clash of the Land of the Snow film, but yes, stereotypical.
The stereotype setup. Gecko Moria is the leader, and you have all these like one-note characters, like Perona's the female lackey. Absalom's the big brute, and Hogback, I guess, is the pretty boy.
Or the scientist,
or the scientist.
The evil scientist.
It
feels very generic, like it feels like one of those one-off anime movies, like a one-off One Piece movie.
It also doesn't, because this whole crew, like I will say, this crew doesn't seem like they go together. Like they all are kind of like Perona seems like the less demented one. She has her own quirks. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the other two are just downright disgusting.
Well, they're here for a reason. Hogback had a goal. Absalom wanted power to marry whoever he wants.
He wants the power to do something to whoever he wants.
Exactly. So they all have a reason to be here. Granted, I don't remember Perona's reason, but the other two have a reason to be teaming up with Moria.
She kind of throws it like out there at the very end. It's nothing important. I don't even remember it. But it was something very like lowbrow. Like, oh, I was just kind of there. I was just there for laughs, and that's it. All these two other characters had very demented goals. Absalom had a demented goal. Hogback had a demented goal. So that's their shtick. You get introduced to them, and then at that same time, you also get an introduction to one of the special zombies, the main zombie forces that are going to be a threat to the Straw Hats. And of course, one of them is like I was mentioning earlier, a samurai from a country far, far away in a distant land. Clearly, we're not going to see this island ever.
Ooh.
Never.
Yeah, something called the Wano country of the New
Wano.
Couldn't be important.
This is not important. I am shocked that Oda had this from this far back. What year is this? 2007. 2007.
Well, when you think about it, he had it as far back as Alabasta, because he mentions sea prism stone coming from a very particular island in the New World.
Okay, I guess. Yeah.
And that,
all right. So here he gives a name to that particular island.
Yes.
Wano Country.
Wano Country.
It's Ryuma. Ryuma's a samurai legend.
And
However,
oh God, I want to say so much, but I can't.
Why? Why can't you?
Because
later on.
I just can't say it.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Ryuma is going to play a role much later on in the story.
well, see, now this is where anime comes in, and it's interesting when you watch the anime. When Ryuma talks, he is voiced by the same actor as Brook.
Yes, they emphasize that in the manga as well, because his speech pattern, some of the things he's saying is literally like Brook, and the characters react to it as well. They say, "Hey, he sounds a lot like Brook. Why is he talking like Brook?" So it's just really funny. You see this badass samurai decked out in samurai attire, and he has Brooks's voice, and he's like, "Yo!" And I'm like, "Okay, all right."
And he asks to see her panties too. Yep.
He does, and that's something we need to address. Not the panties, but the shadow bit. The gimmick with the shadows is that it's technically the personality of the character.
It's their soul.
It's their soul.
I don't know how I feel about this. You know what? We can mention this but this is very reminiscent to a Big Mom, you would say.
Okay.
Similar powers, yeah. Similar
yeah.
skill set, yeah.
I see it.
It's just very funny how Thriller Bark is the Hot Topic version of Big Mom's Disney World.
Actually, I dare even say Big Mom. And again, this is getting really ahead. Big Mom, Gecko Moria, and I don't remember her name from Dressrosa with the toys.
Oh, the girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name either.
All very similar skill set.
Right. But Oda can get away with it because it's like, well, technically, it's not the same thing because, and then he gives you your because.
Yeah, they're not the same thing. I think if anything, there's a lot more stakes here when you get your shadow taken.
Yeah,
because you can't even step out into the sun. So
yeah, you'll just
exactly
burn up in the sun. But
right.
Man, Ryuma does his thing, and again,
he's very powerful.
Oh
very
yeah,
powerful.
then he does the 3-step thing that becomes important, But man, I keep saying this, and I'm just going through these pages, and I'm like, wow, this art is amazing, but what in the mid story? What in the mid? Like, whoa, like everything's a gag. Everything's a gag.
Everything's a gag. I mean, it gets to because I mean, Luffy and the rest of them are really not even struggling against what's going on. They're just, and I don't expect them to either. These are just random zombies.
They're scrubs.
They're scrubs. They're the NPCs. They're the grunts of what's going on. They're one-shotting all these guys. Zoro's one-shotting them. Robin's one-shotting them. Luffy's one-shotting. So Frankie. Everyone is one-shotting them. So, you got all this going on, and I think at this point, Luffy kind of has an idea of like who he has to take out. It's Gecko Moria. I need to beat his ace. And it's at that point, it's like, all right, well, how long does it take to get there? How long does it take?
Yeah, and we're on chapter 450.
There's a lot more to go. And I mean, the gags, like some of them are like, it's funny at first, and then it's like you keep doing it. Like the gag with Lola's
yes,
the hog.
I'm literally looking at Lola right now, and I'm like, oh god.
Her whole thing is like she wants to marry someone,
She wants to
specifically
marry
Absalom.
Absalom.
And she's like, marry me, write this marriage certificate, marry me, just close your eyes, let me kiss you. It just goes on for so long.
But you want to know something? I'll give Oda props for this, because not only because Lola's doing the woman version of what Absalom does to women.
Oh, and it's kind of like the irony, like,
Yeah,
oh,
there's
look,
a
you don't
huge
like
irony.
getting harassed, but you're doing this to other women. Okay.
And he goes worse than what Lola does.
Right. Lola. I think Lola actually succeeds in marrying him. But
Does she succeed?
I think she does. I remember her sucking his face, like, by the end of it all. Like, his head is in her mouth.
There's a lot of sexual harassment in this.
A lot of it.
Thriller bark, more like sexual harassment arc.
Of course.
God.
It's at this point though that they start encountering some zombies that are having some of the traits of their original owners. So they encounter like a penguin dog guy. It has the manners of Sanji. They meet some random swordsman. It has the attributes of Zoro.
Oh, you're like, oh, okay, hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to. All right. There's setup to it. There's setup. So like,
let's get bogged down. You're right.
I'm not bogging it down, but you just can't. You can't.
Go ahead.
It's a good setup.
We talked about this. Go ahead.
It's good setup.
Go ahead.
Okay, go.
So that the samurai takes out Nami, Usopp, and Chopper. Like takes them out. Like, so that's worth noting that they're out right now. And then Luffy and crew are going through the castle and they're beating up the zombies. And they don't even notice that Sanji disappears. Sanji's out of nowhere. He's gone. He's off panel. They don't even realize he's gone until like much later. And so then you go back to Usopp's crew, Usopp, Nami, and Chopper, and they run into all these animals and they're fighting these animals and they're actually like losing. And then one of the animals is about to attack Nami. See, it's good setup. And then he says,
"You're right. It leads into Laughdale with the poneglyph." I forgot.
I am trying to give you a good thriller bark proper. The penguin steps in and says, "You can't hurt a woman. I won't let you hurt this woman."
I mean, yes. I acknowledge it. It was a cool scene because it was like, oh my God, yeah, Sanji was missing, kind of like a Scooby-Doo thing where they all don't realize that they're each slowly going away one by one. It was fine. It was like, oh, okay.
I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but the way they play it off, again, they're like really trying to dive into this world that they're creating.
But here's my issue. Time is just doesn't exist because this is happening all in one night. I really want to be, I really want to emphasize that they're going through the thing. They're still going through the castle. How big is this castle that Sanji's doppelganger penguin dog ugly face thing is like already with Nami?
It's very
fair.
Cool.
I mean, granted, we don't even know if it's nighttime because the fog
is covering everything.
Yes. But yes, good point. It is a lot of things are moving at a quick pace. I think that's fine. It was cool. You weren't expecting Sanji disappearing means this penguin's gonna come up and have Sanji's powers. But cool setup. Yep, Zoro's disappearing too, and then eventually Luffy's gone too. And that is when they show you kind of what's going on with Luffy. And you see Moria has Luffy, and he basically is like, all right, give me the scissors. Let me cut your shadow off. And snip.
Yeah. And then there's they also, what do you call it? Robin and what's this guy's name? Oh, Frankie meet the most, I say, what's it called?
The spider monkey?
Yeah, the spider monkey. when I saw him, and he's the big threat that he's like a mini boss compared to the big boss. Like
he's the mini boss, yeah.
Yeah. It just take a look at him, and I'm just like, I guess this is what we're doing now.
Why are we here? Why are we grinding in caves in this JRPG?
It does feel like a video game. Like everyone split up, and this just seems like it's an interesting thing to think about, to play through. Like if you were actually playing this, you'd be like, what's in the castle?
It'll be fun as a game, yeah.
Yeah. But like, there again, some of the mysteries are just like when you're reading them, you're like, we know what's going on, or like once you know it, it's kind of, oh man, that word is not being in my memory. When you are like less enthused,
you're kind of
underwhelming. It's very underwhelming.
That's the word I wanted. Underwhelming. Mid. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this spider monkey fight is not even like that big of a deal. I think Robin and Frankie deal with it rather quickly. They struggle with it a little bit, but it's over and done with, and it's like, all right, why did we have this?
No, that's not what happened.
Then bog us down, Grandmaster.
Oh, this is not a bog down.
This is
you
pretty
messed
important.
up.
This is pretty important.
Tell us the importance of...
They are fighting that monkey spider, and they're not doing anything to it. And from the sky, you hear...
Yo-ho?
Yes. You hear... and yeah, it's Brook, and he's falling from the sky.
There's also something very small that I want to mention, but very quickly. Robin can sprout wings.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's a...
upgrade.
100 fleurs, right? It's 100.
Sure.
Right? I think it is.
So. 100 fleurs, yeah.
It's one of the few times that I think the first time that she's done it.
Yes, this is definitely the first time she's done this.
A precursor to what she is capable of doing much, much later on.
She's getting creative.
Getting very creative. It does look creepy when you zoom in on it, because it's technically a bunch of hands. It looks weird, but when you zoom out, it's like, oh, okay, it's just wings that she sprouted. It's funny.
Brooke
it's funny.
Does fall from the sky.
Yes, and he proceeds. I mean, Frankie beats him up too with the nunchucks, but then Brooke does, like, they're talking to the spider monkey, and Brooke is talking to him, and then Brooke closes his cane sword, and that's when you realize he, the classic anime, sheath the blade and shows the cut, and Brooke defeats the spider monkey, proving his worth to the crew.
Because he could do an anime slash attack where he
saved them. He saved Frankie.
He did. It's just, oh my god, it's just funny. Because it's one of the few times in the anime and in the manga where, like, it's kind of hard to discern, like, what's the fighting prowess of a character compared to everyone else. Like when you met Robin, it's like, oh yeah, she has the hand double fruit. That's cool. Frankie's like, oh, Frankie's a cyborg. He has the gadgets. With Brooke, it's just a cane sword and, like, a waltz dancing or fencing. And it's like, but wait a minute. Don't we have another swordsman on the crew? What is Brooke adding to the fighting prowess?
Wait a minute. But I think that answer will be fulfilled later on, because Brooke is one of the most important straw hats.
He is. I think right now is kind of like where it's like, what is he adding to their kit? Usopp's the sharpshooter, Nami's the weather baton. Everyone has a shtick, but then with Brooke right now is like, I slash past you anime style and then sheath the cane. And as if Zoro's never done this before.
I think that gets resolved. I think that gets addressed in a very interesting way. See, now we're starting to get to the interesting stuff. But, like, later on with another fight that Brooke has, That's a precursor for one of Zoro's fights.
I would just also like to say it is okay when pirates don't have devil fruits. All they have are swords and guns. So
no, that is totally, you do not need a devil fruit to stand out amongst any, the crewmate of the Straw Hats.
No, I'm just saying, no, what I'm saying is if this crew was like a measly old pirate crews, everyone carries a sword, I mean,
oh, okay.
So the fact that they could potentially have two swordsmen is okay.
Well, listen, what happened last arc? Sanji had the knife. The knife.
Oh, the cooking knives. Yes.
Yes. But yes. If they were a regular pirate crew, yes, but they're not a regular pirate crew. They're supposed to be the best pirate crew ever, and everyone has to be a little different.
Everyone does.
These are our main characters. Like look at the main trio: Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro. One uses swords, one uses fists, another one uses his kicks.
That's why they're the monster.
That's why.
Either way, I welcome Brook and his sword. Even whatever. Even he's not the only one. So
but yeah.
But it also reveals that once you defeat them, Brook carries around the salt, and salt is the weakness of a zombie.
Yes. Oh, just like the sea. Oh, does that mean you can't put? Wait, is it sea salt? Is it sea salt or just salt? Sea salt, right? Because at that point, it's
salt.
like it's just salt, table salt, so they can't have salty fries, salt on a pizza.
I could have sworn it was just salt. But maybe I don't know.
Let's. I have it pulled up right now. Let us ruminate on the words of Oda.
Goodness.
The zombies have a certain weakness. Original master, no, blah blah blah. You really knocked it out. I purified it. Ooh.
I mean, he's the one that comes with the secret, though, about the salt. He's the one that informs them on how to defeat the pirates. Because again, this is not Brooks's first tassel with these guys.
No, they know him, right?
They know him.
Yeah.
The humming swordsman. Oh, look out! It's the humming swordsman. He's been here before. Brook has tried to get his shadow back, and was not successful in doing so. That's kind of where you get the flashback where I think after saving not Nami, Robin and Frankie, he then goes over to save Usopp and Nami, right?
Yeah, but wait. He explains the whole.
He explains the whole process.
Go ahead.
Yes, he explains the whole thing about the shadows and Gecko Moria, and what do you call it? The salt. I can't find if it's sea salt or just regular salt, but I'm just taking it as sea salt maybe. But he explains everything. He explained that he tried to get back, and that he was so scared, and everyone was scary, and he explains like the mechanics, like the stronger the soul and willpower, and the stronger the body makes a stronger, being. Hence wise,
makes a stronger zombie, right?
Yeah,
right.
So, and then he explains what this man has been doing with the zombies, how he's been even having them. It's interesting. It's exposition, well-earned exposition. But again, it's just a little, it's interesting in concept. It's just a little underwhelming that we got it like this.
It's just a little mid.
I know this chapter does it too, but like the anime does it really well. He's like explaining all this and how the zombies work. Meanwhile, we now see Gecko Moria like in like
full panel. There we see
panel, right? And he's
highest
like,
bounty so far.
320 mil. And here, he's like, so you're Straw Hat Luffy. Should I do his laugh?
Do the laugh, yes.
Oh, this one's tough.
That's easy. Oh,
That's perfect.
It's so fucking dumb. Oh my goodness.
Iconic laughter.
Man, no, man. These are just awful. Whatchamacallit? So, he's doing this. He's got Luffy and he's explaining, like Nino said, stronger shadow, stronger body, powerful zombie. From here, Luffy's like putting up the fight, but he can't do anything. He's restrained. They cut Luffy zombie and I'm Shadow, and he's
disturbing.
It is a little bit. I don't know. It's just it was kind of weird to watch Luffy not. I don't know. It's kind of disheartening to see Luffy get his shadow. That's his soul. That's a
here it is. Of him.
It's just salt. It's just salt. Salt has the power of the sea. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
There
Can't
you
put
go.
too much on French fries.
More like salt has the power of mid. That's what I'm saying.
Goodness, it ain't that deep.
Exactly, it's mid. It's not that deep.
Whatever. Again, there's some funny bits in Thriller Bark. Meanwhile, he's got Luffy's shadow. Nami, Usopp, and Chopper are in that bear.
Kumasi? Sure. Perona's bear.
And talking about, I know we mentioned this, talking about Perona, she finally says what she wants out of this. Like, we know Hodgeback is being crazy and Gecko Moria wants to be king of the pirates, but they're like, Absalom says that means the day is close that I'll become the cemetery king of the entire world. And then Perona says, I'll take everything cute in the world and make them into zombies. And my dream of creating my own kingdom full of obedient serfs is one step closer. Oh my gosh.
These people are weird.
They are. Their motives are just...
But you want to know something? They're not as weird as those people in the One Piece fandom that will be like, please let me be your serf. Perona.
They are obsessed with Perona. They are
a bunch of wackos.
She's great character design.
Yeah, I like her design.
She's not a Nami copy. I'll give her that.
Yeah, exactly. Not a Nami or a Robin copy.
Right.
People are too busy being horny on May right now.
On May, right. Not even, no shame to go on the burner account. But one bit of interesting dialogue that I do want to point out before Luffy's shadow gets taken is from Gecko Moria, and it goes in contrast with what Luffy's whole shtick is. He tells his friends, quotation marks, he says, Perona, Hogback, Absalom, go and make me king of the pirates. Excuse you? You want other people to make you king of the pirates? That's the exact opposite of Luffy. Luffy does not rely on his friends to bolster him to become king of the pirates. He chases his dream with them.
And now I can finally say that the original 7 warlords, as we'll come to see, maybe they're also based on the 7 deadly sins.
Oh, is this
Sloth?
This is Sloth.
So
Crocodile was greed.
So Crocodile was greed. Moria was Sloth. Doflamingo.
He's pride. He's definitely
pride. Okay,
he's
pride.
Definitely pride. Oh my gosh, yeah,
Very
he's pride.
He's literally he thinks himself a god. Yeah.
Well, he
Hancock,
also his pride.
Lust. But she's not lustful herself.
Yes, for somebody.
But she's representative of lust.
Okay, she's representative of lust.
For a certain character, she's definitely lusting.
I wonder who.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they say that Kuma, which we'll get to him, but was very rageful.
Oh, the tyrant.
Tyrant.
I can see it.
And then I don't remember the other ones. What are the other ones? Oh, Mihawk.
Mihawk.
There's Envy. Envy? No.
No, he's
I
not. I would say he's gluttony. He's hungry for a challenge. He wants someone to.
Okay. In that sense, I
yeah,
guess.
he wants.
And I guess technically speaking, because when you go back to what he did with Dom Krieg, I was just in the mood for it.
Right.
Yes.
He's a glutton for dishing out punishment.
I'm just because I guess you don't need a reason. Like the whole point of gluttony is like, I don't need a reason to eat this. I just want to eat it. I'm not even hungry. I want to. There you go.
Envy. Blackbeard's made us a warlord.
Well, he wasn't one of the originals.
No, not the original. No.
I'm trying to think.
Sorry, it was Jinbei.
No, Jinbei.
Yeah, Jinbei's an original.
No,
warlord.
Jinbei was an original one.
But I don't think he's Envy. I think
he's the only remaining one.
Yeah,
no, but I think I think this is better. Doflamingo's Envy, and Jinbei is Pride, because his pride was too big to go against Whitebeard, and he put himself in prison. Or they put him in prison because of it.
Sure, I'll take it. I'll buy it. That works for me.
We got sidetracked big time with the warlords.
That's okay.
That is okay.
I mean,
it's relevant. It's relevant.
It is very relevant.
It's definitely
very relevant. Because we're on the topic of warlords. We're dealing with the warlord right now.
When we get to Laugh Tale, they're gonna be like, which one of the 7 original warlords represented which one? And then we have to solve a puzzle, and that's how we get the One Piece.
You know what you just sounded like? You sounded like one of those 4Kids those 4Kids ads that would play before some of their shows, and one of them was for One Piece. I might make a TikTok of this. I don't know. This was funny. This was straight up. It would be One Piece trivia, and it was the narrator. Luffy saying, "Hey, my name's Luffy, and I'm gonna be king of the pirates. I like my lucky straw hat." And then the narrator comes on, and he's like, "Which of these characters gave Luffy his straw hat? Was it Usopp, Shanks, or Sonic?" You have to decide. God. Because Sonic was on 4Kids, Sonic X. So that was funny. I don't know. Nino reminded me of that. He was asking questions like it was trivia.
I don't know why you thought of that, but I am not a fan of those 4Kids little interlude commercials at all. Like, I could do without.
You don't like when Yami Yugi told you not to do drugs?
Or when that character from Winx Club sang the national anthem?
Absolutely not.
If we need to do a podcast one day on Winx Club, that was my shit.
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
Nope. We draw the line.
We draw the line at Sailor Moon, and that's where it ends.
Goodness, the Winx Club, there's no way. Not homophobic. Not at all. Not at all. It has nothing to do.
Oh, that's funny.
Look, goodness. Sidetraction, back on track. Because we're wrapping things up for part 1. Let's just leave off with Brook gives him a stash of salt to go battle the zombies. But before he parts ways, we learn that Frankie asked him he's like, you left out something of your story. And we'll come back to it as far as to what he told him. But let's just say it left Frankie in tears because Frankie's a big softy.
He's a big softy.
Hilarious because you got Robin like, why'd you ask him that? And he's just like, shut up. I love that skeleton.
And we will come to love him too because it's a very heartwarming story.
It's a very heartwarming story. But we also leave Brook. He meets Ryuma, who has his shadow.
Right.
So they are going to have a confrontation. And more on that later. But the last bit, we get Moria taking his generals to the freezer. And it's like, oh, this is a big freezer. This ain't just some like small time freezer to put your holiday ham. This is a walking ginormous freezer. And he's carrying Luffy's shadow all the while. Luffy's shadow's like struggling in his hand.
It's helpless.
It's very helpless. And he introduces them to his, I guess, his ultimate warrior who's going to lead his zombie army. The devil himself, Oars. Oars!
The berserker warrior they call the Beast. Crazy.
It just feels like all the cliffhangers Oda intended just for the dun 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 music to play after it. Dun, dun,
Oh, for
dun,
sure.
then-
This was definitely one of those. Yes.
Ooh, he must be powerful.
Well, he's a
Whoa.
giant and he's been preserved.
And
Why
he's not just
don't they
any
know?
giant. He's like a devil giant.
Well,
thing.
he's the only giant we've seen that looks like this. He has horns coming out of his head.
Yeah,
Yes.
This is something completely different.
And apparently
Yes.
he's like he was a tyrant. I mean, not the tyrant like Kuma, but he was a troublemaker. He was a troublemaker when he was alive. He had problems. And he needed to be stopped. I think he was alive like what, 500 years ago or something? A long time ago.
They live a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. A long time ago. I don't think we get much on Oars after this. Like in terms of backstory, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, he was a giant from centuries ago.
Yeah, right. We don't really learn much about him, but I think the scene, so he goes and he puts Luffy's shadow in. I think this is a great place to end it. He starts waking up and he starts defrosting. And the first thing that comes out of his mouth, someone go ahead, say it.
You say it. You like impersonations. You did
Oh, well,
Gecko
okay.
Moria.
Well, it's a really fun one because it's Luffy's voice actor, but she takes it down like a bunch of octaves. So she's like, meat.
I'm hungry.
hungry.
He is hungry.
But it's Luffy. It's Luffy.
It's literally.
It's funny. That's why it's so funny.
He starts calling out for Sanji. He's like, "Give me some food," and everyone's like, "Who's Sanji? Who's he talking?"
Well, no,
about?
he says it. He's like,
No,
wait a minute.
he says it. Yeah, the
right.
Oars says
He's
it.
like, huh? Who's Sanji? And then at one point he's like, Kaizo Kunoi. Oranara. He's
I
like,
love this.
I don't know what the king of the pirates is, but I want to be it.
I love this. This
I
was
love
fun.
it too.
I think once Oars came into the picture, I kind of woke up with this arc. I was like, all right, I am invested in this because now Oars is in it, Gecko Moria is now in it, and I can pay attention to what is going on. This is where Thriller Bark gets unmid. It unmids itself.
Yeah, this is the turning point. This is the turning point. This
It
is
gets into the
yeah.
deep side of
yeah.
it.
This is
Right.
a good cutoff point, I believe. Like from here, yeah, it raises the stakes, and yeah, we start getting some good stuff.
That we do. Yeah, I mean, it gets better from here. I'm excited to get into the second half of Thriller Bark, especially the ending of Thriller Bark. Actually, I shouldn't be excited because nothing happened in the ending of Thriller Bark. What am I saying? Nothing happened at the end.
Nothing happened, right?
Exactly. But yeah, there you have it, folks. There's our first, or I guess our part one of Thriller Bark. We underestimated this arc, as we do every arc in One Piece, and we have to split this into two segments. But we wanted to take our time with Thriller Bark. We tried to skip the fluff, and we really did. And there was still a lot to talk about, like good, meaningful stuff to deep dive in part one of Thriller Bark. But as you know, where we left off, from here on out, we'll be covering the Oars battle. We'll be covering Luffy versus Moria, the crew versus Moria, the crew versus Oars, and everything that happens with a certain warlord that appears as well It's not just
Or
a
everything
one
that-
warlord show.
Everything that didn't happen with that warlord.
Everything that did not happen. It's like he never existed in this arc. Exactly.
Good stuff.
Well, folks, that's what we have to say about part 1 of Thriller Bark. Let us know what you all think about Thriller Bark in the comments below, wherever you're listening to us on, whether it be Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Twitter, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, at the Yonko Table. Let us know what you think about Thriller Bark. Is it something that we're missing here that we should be really invested in with his first half? Or is Thriller Bark just, one of those arcs that Oda was kind of just dragging his feet along until, he realized, hey, it's time to pick up the pace. We got great stuff coming after Thriller Bark and towards the end of Thriller Bark. Let us know what you all think. But with that, everyone, that's it for tonight. I'm your Yonko host, Dr. Jace Attorney, fellow Yonko Grandmaster Hoop, and Supernova's Nino Desplazado and Comic Chris. Signing off. Take care.